If destiny is written, what does prayer mean? If everything is written in God's knowledge, if destiny is already set, if even your soul and will do not truly belong to you, then what does prayer actually do? This question doesn't only challenge the intellect, it stirs the heart. And its answer lies not only in knowledge but in experience. This is where Sufism begins. If God owns everything and we own nothing, perhaps prayer isn't about asking, but about recognizing. According to Ibn Arabi, prayer is not about telling God something. It is about remembering who you are standing before and forgetting who you think you are. Prayer, not a desire, but a remembrance. True prayer involves letting go of the self. Otherwise, it becomes nothing more than the ego in spiritual form. So, why do we pray? To change something? Or to realize what is already unfolding? Ibn Arabi says when a servant prays, it is God who places the words on their tongue. So prayer isn't our desire, it is a word entrusted to us. That's why prayer is not a request, it's a trust. The modern mind treats prayer like a transaction. If I get what I ask for, I'll be happy. But Sufism says prayer is how the servant returns themselves to God. It's not about changing the world, but changing the self. And that change is not in rewriting destiny, it's an awakening to what's already written in the heart. Ibn Arabi says God desires his servant to know themselves through prayer. You don't just decide to pray, he prepares you for that moment. The words you speak were written before time began. The modern mind and the transformation of prayer. So, what does the servant do? They stop asking, stop offering, and simply notice, then surrender that awareness in words. Prayer becomes not a request, but a testimony. The one who testifies does not question, they simply say, "Yes, my Lord, it is so." Ibn Arabi's prayers do not focus on "give me this" or "do that." Instead, they reflect surrender, "Make me among those who know you. Don't leave me to myself. Erase me in you. Let me exist through you." These are not expressions of will but of surrender, the very essence of Sufi prayer. Sufism doesn't reject prayer, it transforms it. You no longer guide the prayer guides you. Your needs don't produce prayer, prayer reveals your real needs. Sometimes you don't know what you truly need, but prayer brings you to the moment where you stop asking and just let go. Prayer is witnessing, not asking. According to Ibn Arabi, that is when prayer becomes most genuine, when you are no longer present, and the words become breaths placed in you by God. Sometimes prayer is just one word, you. Sometimes it's silence. Not desire, but surrender. Should we still want things? Yes, but not from ourselves. From Him. Your prayer is not your desire. If it is His will, then, and only then, does it become a true prayer. Otherwise, not every wish is a prayer, not every word a plea, not every tear surrender. Prayer becomes real only when the self steps aside, not withdrawing from life, but from ego. Then every yarab becomes an act of surrender, and you are no longer speaking, you are carrying the words. Does prayer really change fate? Yes, destiny is written. What will happen, will happen. So what's the point of prayer? Ibn Arabi says the answer lies in recognizing what prayer reveals. Prayer does not change destiny, it unveils what's already within it. You don't produce prayer, God writes it in you. The prayer is not from you, it echoes God's will. Your need doesn't cause the prayer awakens the need. That's why for the Sufi, prayer is not reminding God, but God reminding you. Prayer is not an act of will, it is a divine invitation answered. But modern people ask, I prayed, and nothing happened. Ibn Arabi responds, what didn't happen wasn't your desire, it was your assumption. If you associate prayer with results, you miss the essence. When prayer becomes love, prayer is about intention, not outcomes. Sometimes God withholds what you ask, but in that withholding, He purifies you. He makes you wait, but in that waiting, He expands your heart. He appears to reject you, but in truth, He returns you to yourself. Then you realize, you weren't created to get what you want, you were created to learn how to want. To Ibn Arabi, Prayer is meaningful not just in what's granted, but also in what is withheld. Even in withholding, God is teaching. You think if you get what you want, prayer worked. But God says, when you've learned how to want, that is the answer. That's why prayer is not a result, it's a state. The one in this state doesn't carry a wish list or cling to expectations. They simply say, give, but give from yourself. They know whatever comes from God comes at the right time, in the right measure. Does prayer change fate? Ibn Arabi says, if it's written that you will pray, then you will. Destiny includes the prayer. Prayer is not outside fate, it is a witness within it. For Sufism, destiny is not a fixed script, it is infinite possibilities shaped by divine knowledge. Your prayer is the deep intention that guides you toward truth. And that intention is not about reaching God, it is about recognizing what He has already placed within you. Prayer becomes not a request, but a path. It softens your heart, calms your mind, silences your ego. And soon, prayer is no longer a need, a habit, or an obligation, it becomes a love. You are no longer asking, you are approaching. One of Ibn Arabi's most striking repeated prayers is, leave me to you. Erase me in you. Take me from myself. To him, prayer is not a demand, it is a dissolution. And in the absence of self, only God remains. So ask yourself, why do I pray? Do I really want something? Or am I just trying to feel better? Every prayer exposes your real intention. Prayer is not just about asking, it is about standing before your own mirror. Ibn Arabi says, prayer is where the servant stands bare before the Lord. No defenses, no masks. Not words, but intentions speak. Those intentions either draw you closer to truth or leave you to your own voice. And when you approach truth, words fall silent. You stop asking, you trust He already knows. And that trust isn't apart from prayer, it is the heart of it. Prayer is not merely an action, it is a transformation. To pray truly is to surrender the self, the ego, the will, and remain simply as a servant before God. This remaining is not emptiness, it is readiness to be filled. Ibn Arabi says, when the servant prays, they confront their own limits. And those limits reveal how little we know, how little power we hold, how dependent we truly are. But that's exactly where the meeting with God begins. Because where your limit ends, His mercy begins. What if someone prays and sees no result? The modern mind asks, I prayed, but nothing happened. The Sufi answers, you prayed, and you became. Prayer is not to receive something, it is to become something. Sometimes you don't pray for an answer, sometimes the prayer is the answer. Your hands rising may be the echo of a prayer spoken long ago. And now it returns, through your voice, back to the source. Ibn Arabi teaches that prayer unravels the self. Every prayer is a surrender. And a surrendered heart makes space for God. You stop planning, persuading, controlling. You simply say, I fall silent. You speak. And when He speaks, the words aren't yours. The desires aren't yours. Even you aren't yours anymore. Prayer becomes the quietest walk a servant takes toward their Lord. No footsteps, only intention. No speeches, only surrender.